Yeah, we are in Parshat Yitro. I'm guessing you guys just wanted to go to the beginning, right? Okay. So let's do Yitro. So it says, Vayishma Yitro, and Yitro heard. What? That's the question. What did he hear? And who was Yitro? That's another thing. Kohen Midian, he was the priest of Midian. Choten Moshe, he was a father-in-law of Moshe. And so what is he hearing? It kol asher asa Elokim Moshe. He heard all that Hashem did for Moshe, Uli Yisrael Amo, and for Israel, his nation. Again, what is that? And turning page here. Ki hotzi Hashem et Yisrael Mitzrayim, that Hashem took Israel out of Mitzrayim. Okay, that's what he's hearing. So Rashi goes into this whole thing. He says, what did Yitro hear that he came into the middle of the desert? Here you have Yitro. He is the Kohen Midian. He's a priest of Midian. And he's coming out to the desert to meet his son-in-law. Why? Wait till he comes home. Wait till he gets where he wants to go. What are you going into a desert for? Now, it's not like it's South Bend where it's cold and you want to go to the warm places. You know, he was living in a nice place, and he was living at the top of the world, so why is he leaving? So Rashi says, because he heard about Kriyat Yamsuf, the splitting of the Reed Sea, Umilchemet Amalek, and the war of Amalek. And he heard those two great victories, so he said, I have to go. Now, Yitro is not his only name. Rashi says he has 7 names, and they are as follows. Reuel, Yeter, Yitro, Chovev, Chever, Keni, Putiel. And each one is on it for a different reason. Yetr is because he adds an extra parsha to Torah. In this one, when he makes the Supreme Court, I'm not the Supreme Court, the court system. Then also in another place, Chazay is called Yitro. Why? Because he converted, and when a person converts, so they usually change his name, or they add something to his name, whatever the case is going to be. So in this case, they added a letter. Chovev, why is it called Chovev? Because Shechavav the Torah, because he loved the Torah. Fine. And then also Reuel, some people say that's the father, not really Yitro. So that was another question, is it Yitro or not? I remember when I was in college, the Chabad rabbi said he had 7 names. You know why he had 7 names? Because he had 7 daughters. That means seven chasanas, 7 marriages. He went broke 7 times. Okay, it's a joke. He was totally making a joke on that, but I always remember the joke. It was a funny joke, I remember. Okay, then he's Choten Moshe. Why does the Torah have to identify him as the father-in-law of Moshe? So here it says, Moshe, Yitro is being honored because of Moshe. After all, Moshe is the king of the Jews at this point. He is one who took, and for all intent and purposes, took them out. Okay, with God's help, certainly, but he is one who took it out. Then he says, and all that Hashem had done to Moshe and Israel, his nation. So Rashi says from here, we learn that Moshe was equivalent in weight, if you will, to all of Israel. In other words, if you put all of Israel in one part of the scale, and you put Moshe in the other part, it would be equal. Okay. And then all that he had done, what did he do? He brought down the man. He heard about the man that was coming down. That's miraculous bread from heaven. Who ever heard of such a thing as raining down in a beautiful way? Also of the traveling well, and also again of the war with Amalek. And then Hashem took him out of Yitro. That was the greatest victory of all, because nobody had ever escaped Mitzrayim. Certainly all these people. Yeah, you got a question?
Yeah, if you were to sleep outside in the open.
If I was to what?
When the man was coming down, and it's described like dew. It comes down like dew, and it's frost on the ground when it's in the morning. So if someone were to sleep outside or in a tent without the roof on, would they get man on them?
Great question.
Bring it up next year when we get back to the last expansion.
The answer is, I have no idea. First of all, you can't sleep in a tent without a roof. It wouldn't hold up.
Yeah.
It wouldn't hold up. No, they didn't have it. So if you're sleeping outside, I can't imagine that somebody would sleep outside. But if they did, Mastama Hashem knows how to rain it so it wouldn't fall on them. Okay. If he's making miracles anyway, it was a little more miracle wouldn't hurt. So I can't imagine that it would fall on them. Okay, so now what happens? Vayikach yeah.
What about the animals?
What about the animals? No, it didn't fall on the animals.
Did they have places to put the animals under, or did they just leave them out?
They just left them out.
Okay.
On that, did the animals eat mon? Or did they just
That's a good question.
because if mon is mon, then
Did the animals eat man? So I don't. It's possible they did. I'm not sure. It's very possible. I doubt it. I think it was more for the humans, and so then you have to ask. So what did they eat? Right? Okay. So they would have to graze, or there would have to be food that they bring in from the other place around. But I doubt.
They were taking with them, you mean?
Right.
Oh, yeah,
Right,
that's
right.
a good question.
So I would guess that they had. I don't think they would have man. The interesting thing is, and this is why I'm going with your question for a second. It's the man would dissolve after, let's say, 12. Okay, for argument's sake. Okay, and so what happened when it dissolved? It went into the rivers. Right, it was flowing to the rivers. And then it says that these deer would eat, or whatever, the wildlife would eat, or would drink from the river. As a result, they would ingest the man. And so now when people, the non-Jews, are eating these animals, they now realize how wonderful the man tasted.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't ask me too many questions on that, okay? To give you the midrash, but that's how the nations could know how wonderful the man was. Now, what they did not get
Was the man itself?
was what?
Because it has to go through, goes in the ground, goes in the water, goes in the animal, and then the person eats it.
Right.
So did they ever have man, or could Gentiles
Who?
not have the Gentiles?
The Gentiles didn't have man; they wouldn't have had man. If they would have had man, they would have known what it tasted like. So what I'm saying is that what they didn't have is the ability that we had, namely to make it taste like whatever we wanted it to. That they never would
They
have.
might not have even perceived it as food.
No, they just knew that the animal tasted different. So once they figured out what was going on,
Oh,
it's like, yeah, the animal tasted better, and this what happened. How can the animal taste better? Oh, this must be because of the man, and so on and so forth. So from that, they figured it out.
Huh.
It's like when you have, when you go to a restaurant, sometimes they do something good, and you say, wow, that's a great spice, what you do, or whatever. So they tell you we did X, Y, and Z. So fine. So you know that is what you want the next time. So that's how they would know what is this. But like I said, I don't think the animals, I'm pretty sure the animals did not eat it. Because, as a matter of fact, I can bring you a proof that when I'm right. Because it said I should bring an omer for the Golgolet. I should bring an omer for the skull count in my camp.
Okay, had it right.
The Golgolet is the skull. So I'm only can bring it for the humans in my camp, in my tent. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think it goes to the animals. Yeah, it's still in it. Yeah.
Yeah. So also on man, when people ate man,
You're right. Sure, but this is for next year. Go ahead.
They didn't use the bathroom, right?
They didn't have to.
They didn't have to use the bathroom.
There's no waste product. Yes.
Right, no waste product. So did the animals poop?
no, because
Well, again, they're eating real food. I'm saying they're eating real food. So the answer would be yes.
Yes. So what did they do with the poop?
What everybody does with they poop. Nobody does anything. They leave it there.
it's
Big race.
manure.
They great.
No, but did they have a place to put it? Because it can't.
No.
It's just manure. The movie. And the animals aren't anywhere near what's
Right. They're not in the tents with them.
Oh.
Okay. Let's go on.
Living with them in the house.
Is that again?
They're not living
No,
with
it's
them.
right there outside. That's all. So Vayikach Yitro Chotein Moshe. So again, Yitro, the father-in-law of Moshe, took. What did he take? And Tzipora Eshet Moshe. Tzipora, the wife of Moshe. Here, finally, they're getting back together again. Ach Eshlucha, after he sent her. Why did he send her? Why was she sent away? So it says, Rashi explains, Kisha Amalo Kadosh Baruch Hu b'Midyan. When Hashem said to him in Midyan, Lech Shuv Mitzrayim, go and return to Mitzrayim, Vayikach Moshe et Ishto v'panav. which says that Moshe took his wife and his children. And so what happens is Aaron comes out to meet him, as God told him, and he met him at the mountain of Shem. Amalo. So Aaron says to Moshe, Mihem Alalu. Who are these people? I know you, but who are these guys? Amalo. So Moshe answered his brothers, Ishti, this is my wife, Shenasati b'Midyan, that I married in Midyan, ve'elu banai, and these are my children, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov. Let's have a simcha, let's have a kiddush, okay? That's who they are. So Amalo, ve'echan atam alichin. So Aaron says, Mazel Tov, wonderful, let's have a Mechayim, but where are you bringing these people? What are you doing? She says, I'm alone, the Mitzrayim. So I'm being to Mitzrayim. I'm alone. So Aaron answers him. I already showed him, I'm Anu Mr. Aaron. Only once there already, we're being distressed. And you're coming to add to the party? What are you bringing these people for? So you cause us more stress. We already have enough people who are slaves. We don't need more slaves. So Armala, so he said to her, L'chi el beit avich, go back to your father's house. Nitul shnei vaneh, she took two of her children, he took her two children, ve'halchala, and she went. Okay, so now, he meaning Yitro, does not know why the daughter came back. He's thinking, you divorced my daughter. Now, he's not really that upset, he has two kids to go with him, but, who wants to know that his daughter, probably the oldest, I think she was, Yocheved was probably, not Yocheved, what's her name? Sipporah. Sipporah, thank you. Sipporah is probably one of the oldest, and it's very hard to marry an old girl, certainly a divorced girl. So, with kids, it's very hard, even today, certainly today, it's way back then. So he's thinking, and that's why he's emphasizing after he sent her away. Okay. Who else do you bring? At Shnei Banen, also her two sons. Now here's the interesting thing. It says her two sons. I have no answer to this. I'm going to present the question. I have no answer. I would think to say, Et Shnei Banecha, your two sons. Why does it say her two sons? You're the father, for crying out loud. And if you want to really make a point that you should bring her back, these are your sons. That would be for me. But I didn't write the story. Hashem did. I'm sure Hashem has his reason. Nobody really talks about it. I saw. And so it's... the Ramban only says that this isn't the place to talk about it, how they're born, so on and so forth, but he doesn't say why it's her sons. Then we also have the names. Shema Echad Gershom, the name of the first one was Gershom. Ki Amar, because Moshe said, Ger Hayiti, I was a stranger be'eretz Nachri, in the land, in the strange. I was a stranger in this strange land. Okay, and Shema Echad, and the name of the second one, or the first. It's interesting. Also, it says Shem Echad, so it's the name of one. I'm not translating it literally here. The name of the other one was Eliezer. Ki Elohei Avi be'ezri, because Hashem, my father, saved me. Help me. And he saved me from the sword of Paro. What happened there? So it says Kishagilu Datan Aviram Al Davar Mitzri. As Rashi explains, how did he save me from the sword? Because when Datan and Aviram ratted on Moshe about the Mitzri, and he says to Pharaoh, hey Pharaoh, this guy Moshe, the one who's coming out to bother us, he's your main man. He's the one who killed the Mitzri. So what happens? Vikesh la'arog et Moshe. So Pharaoh wants to kill Moshe. V'nas tzavaro ke'amud shel sheish. So Hashem made the neck of Moshe like that of marble, so that the sword could not penetrate. There's a whole bunch of miracles here. He makes it so the guy can't hear, the swordsman can't hear anything, he can't see anything. There's a whole bunch of miracles. Then Moshe runs away. But that's why he names his son Eliezer. Now remember, this son, Eliezer, is all of, at this point, 1 year old. Maybe a year and a half. I don't even think that much, because he was just born before Moshe went on to the trip to go to Mitzrayim, right? And then what happened was he was circumcised on the way, because Sipporah saw that her husband was about to die, because a malach was trying to kill him. Fine. So then she circumcised him. Then it's a go home. Okay? So if she goes home, and now he's going back. It's only a year that they had the plagues. Thank you. So at most, he's a year and a half. So I remember watching a movie about Moshe and everything else. It was one of these long movies that you just laugh at all the mistakes that they were making. So Moshe, of course, when he tells his wife to go home, beautiful woman, of course, always a beautiful woman here. Good. So she goes home. By the time he comes back, both kids are 8 and 9. How'd they grow up so quick? And then, and of course, they're having fights with their father because he abandoned us. It was such a stupid story. I had to turn off the milk. I couldn't even watch that. They're so stupid, it's not falling into lines at all. But they made him sound like, an absentee father and all thing. He was gone for a year, there's no question about that. But the kid would know it. Now, the interesting thing is, this kid wasn't named right away. Eliezer wasn't named right away. Because unless you would name him at the Brits, we didn't know about it. That's possible. It's possible. They named it at the Brits, but for the most part, I don't think that it was known. We didn't get the name Eliezer when we heard about the Bris Milah. So now he's coming and saying that my father helped me and saved me from the sword of power. God, my father. So it's interesting that we hear that now, and it's just like it's an interesting picture. The first one that he names is Gershom, because I was a stranger in a foreign land. And that was, we can assume that Gershom was a little bit older. That's pretty good. I don't think that's hard to say. But when it comes to Eliezer, like I said, but it's named after events in his life.
What is Gershom? The Ger is
Gershom. I was a stranger there.
What's the second syllable mean?
There.
Like
Sham.
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 Okay.
Right. So next verse. But like I said, the names are interesting because when you would name, we name kids. We name after somebody who, if you're Ashkenazi, died.
Yeah.
Okay, we name after somebody who died. So and then because we live in America, so at least my parents and you guys they only have Hebrew names, right?
Well,
You have English names? You're Samuel?
Abraham, Isaac.
Yeah, okay, but it was just transliteration. What?
Yeah, their birth certificate.
Yeah, but it's transliteration, so it's not an English name. It's not
It's not a direct. Yeah, it's not like Mark. Is
right.
Moshe.
So right, in the old days, so what they do? They would take Moshe, M, Mark.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
A simple
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Okay, and so Fibel, F, Fred. Okay, Sky, there's nothing. It works for all. No, my brother doesn't work on. He is Baruch, and he goes to Robert. So.
Bob.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Bob,
Yeah.
but his name is Robert. So
They
That's
took the
right.
name.
My sister is Esther Malka, but they named her Mindy Ellen because it sounded better.
oh, there you go. Okay, but here, what you're seeing, what the point is, we don't name our kids after some event. Running deer. We don't do that. So, but
Yeah.
in the Bible, what?
Anymore.
I'm saying, right. So in the Torah, we see that they were creative with their names. Now, what happens is, let's face it, if I would have had more kids, if I would have been in the competition and had 10, 20 kids, whatever. So if Hashem, actually, I'm going to say this: if Hashem would have blessed me, with more than the kids I had names for, so then we would have had to come up with our own names. There was no question.
Yeah.
But
Some people do name their kids after at least the parsha, like Shmuel's middle name is Yehuda,
right.
because he was wondering.
Again, but I'm saying some people. I know some people will actually use their knowledge of Hebrew and to name the kid about an event, following this pattern. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So it's but it was showed where they were coming from. That everything is an event in their life. So, like I said, running deer. But here you have a stranger there. Esav, full of fully made. Yaakov, heel.
Well, it's like so in like say in America in English, the standard English names. We don't really know what they mean unless you read
Right.
research.
Right.
And
And so,
yeah. You just we'll make it match the first part.
right. No, 100%. I'm just saying, and here you're seeing that the names were after events.
Every Hebrew name has a very specific meaning.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let's go on. Like Mayim, when they named her Mayim Bialik.
Ah.
Water.
Yeah.
Apparently the water was running when Mayim was born. I don't know. I can't tell you. Maybe she was born in a river. I don't know. They like the word Mayim, I guess. But yeah, Vayavo. So what happens? Vayavo Yitro Chotein Moshe Uvanav Yishto El Moshe. So what happened is Yitro came. Okay, it's a simple Baal. So he came. Who was again? The Chotein Moshe, the father of Moshe, Uvanav, and his children. Now we're saying Uvanav, right? Oh, before it said Baneha, her children. Now it's Uvanav, his children. So it's interesting that is going back and forth with that.
Well, because she came with them, so it's saying who are these people coming with her? It's her children.
No, but why does it say here? It should say the same thing.
That's talking about
It says the same thing. Vayavo Yitro Chotein Moshe
Came with
his
He
sons.
Came with his children.
So whose sons?
And his wife.
Whose sons?
His.
Who's his?
Moshe.
Oh, see, it's Moshe. So why?
Oh, wait a minute.
So I'm saying in the beginning.
Yisro came with Moshe, his father-in-law. Well, because it's following the name Moshe.
Right. And then, it goes the other way.
His wife.
But what I'm saying is before in the previous thing, it says that Vayikach Yitro Chotein Moshe, that Yitro, the father of Moshe, took Shipporah, the wife of Moshe, and her two sons. So I'm just asking, why not just say her sons? His wife and her sons. Want to say that? I'm just saying it's interesting.
Together now.
Now they're together. Okay, you can say that. Maybe he's identifying that they're both parents. Okay, I'm not sure. It's like I said, it's interesting that they went back and forth with that. Okay, I should say Hashem went back and forth with that. Okay, there's not a they here. So Uvanav, for all those biblical scholars out there who are saying, see, he holds by that now. No, I don't. One author, leave me alone. Okay. Uvanav Yishto, and his sons and his wife, El Moshe, to Moshe, Ella Midbar, to the desert. And again, the Rashi says, wait a second, Alpha knew Yodim Midbar. We also knew they were in the Midbar, in the wilderness. So what are you telling us here for? But what does it tell us? That the praise of Yitro, that he was sitting in the honor of where he was in the top of the world, and he decided to come to a place that it was of desolation to hear the words of Torah. Okay, so that's why to the desert or to the wilderness, Shehu Chonesham, that he was encamped there at the Har Elohim, at the mountain of God. Yeah.
So all this is the Torah, right?
All this is the Torah. Yes.
And Moshe wrote down the Torah.
Yes. Moshe wrote down the Torah. Yes.
So that was also so prophetic because he saw the future. So
God tells him what to write down. It's not. God told him, Moshe, write these words. By the time God is telling him to write these words, this whole event was done.
Oh, okay.
But not the future events.
Not the future.
No, by the time God tells him to write down this parasha,
Right.
it's done.
Right.
But like what happens in Devarim and
After Sinai.
happens after he writes it all down.
Like what?
Like him going up and giving his final speech and stuff. That's all.
The only the last 8 verses were prophetic in that nature. Only the last 8 verses were prophetic that said that he dies. In other words, until he dies, Moshe can tell Moshe what to write. But when it says Moshe died, so now who's writing that? Is that Moshe or is that Yehoshua? There's an argument in the Gemara that says that Moshe wrote it. Well, he wrote it with tears in his eyes. Fine, or tears. He wrote it in tears. And I think it's Rev Meir says it, I believe. The other opinion says, no, Joshua wrote it.
After.
Those last 8 verses only.
So he wrote the whole thing up on Har Sinai, right?
Over
not?
40 years.
So he didn't write the whole thing up on the mountain.
No, over 40 years.
Just a little.
Well, as things would happen, he would write it down. God told him, write these.
I thought he wrote everything up there.
No. And during the 40 years, he wrote it down. He can't write about the spies before the spies happened.
That's why it never made sense to me.
Right? No, that right. Because otherwise, they would have read the book. Oh, we did that? No, it's not worth it. Right. No. Right.
Okay,
So
he really only wrote up to the 10
he would write.
commandments.
Right.
And then as things happened, so the Chet Egel he wrote about afterwards.
Yeah. Well, again, he wouldn't have written up to the. He wouldn't have written up to the 10 Commandments at this point either, because he was busy. He had to set a whole. The hardest to set a simcha up. Come on, it's not so easy to set a simcha up.
Call the caterer.
You have to call the caterers. No, you had to have time, so everything had to calm down. Once they get past the time and the Mishkan set up and everything's going on, now Hashem can say, okay, let's start documenting.
So what did he write up on Har Sinai? Just
He didn't write any. Moshe wrote nothing. It was Hashem wrote it, started it wrote.
that's it. Just okay.
And he taught Moshe all the entire, in other words, the laws of the Torah. When everybody says he learned the entire Torah, so what do you mean? He learned the narratives? No. He didn't learn the narratives. He learned the laws. He learned all the laws. So now he's coming down, he's teaching the laws. Again, because if he would know that they're going to mess up, well, you don't go back up the mountain. You stay down. Don't do that. But he wasn't told that. Otherwise, you take free will away.
And they're gonna build, and they built a golden calf.
I'm gonna go stop that.
Right. You don't do that because on top of that, he has to start bargaining with God. Well, you did this. He blames it on God. He blames it on God. You did it to them, not me. What they do? They were innocent people. Yeah. I just listened to Trump where they got rid of Flynn, right? So he kept saying he didn't do anything wrong. The only thing he did wrong was to lie to Pence. I don't know anything about the case, but I heard that and I was thinking, what an interesting statement. I'm blaming it on you, the news media, for spreading the lies and for fake news, blah, 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 blah. And I'm blaming it on him for not telling Pence the truth, what he should have told him. But really, he didn't do anything wrong. That's Moshe's defense for the Jewish people. What are they? You gave them the gold. You gave them this. You said, again, we're not this Sarah the Dibro, but you set them up. So what do you expect from them? Come on. You can't give your kid a master charge, send him to the whorehouse, and tell him don't use it. It doesn't work.
Interesting.
That's Rashi. I didn't say that's Rashi.
Rashi.
I always say what Rashi says.
We're learning.
Okay. So, but that's, what time is it? Later?
In 1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute. But, yeah.
I thought Rashi was a bag of coins, not a MasterCard.
What?
A bag of coins.
Oh, okay. Sky.
He's modernizing. So you have to be
Right.
very careful.
I have to be very careful.
Pay attention to everything he says.
Absolutely. Good.
There you go.
You're right, it was a bad coin around his neck. To follow Rashi, literally it would be that. So 100%. But I just updated the Rashi for you. But okay, you're right. Maybe I shouldn't update Rashi. Okay. So that's what goes on. So what happens? He says, Vayomer el Moshe. So he said to Moshe, Ani chotencha Yitro ba'elecha. I, your father-in-law Yitro, have come to you. Or is coming to you, are coming to you. V'ishtuka and your wife, Ushne baneh ima, and her 2 sons with her. Again, her 2 sons. Now you have sons. Why? I don't know why he's going back and forth. Now, why did he have to announce Ani chotencha? Can you imagine your mother comes home to your wife, to your father and says, I, your wife, am here. That's not. She's not going to say that. She's going to say, Charles, I'm home, right? The simple thing. I know who you are, honey. Wonderful. I don't have 5 wives. I figured out who you are. How many father-in-laws do you have? You only had 1 wife. So what happens here, Rashi says, Moshe ali de shaliach. He sent a message to him that I am Yitro, your father-in-law. And now he says, if you're not going to come out for me, say begin ishtacha. Come up because of your wife. And if you don't want to come up because of your wife, say begin come up for her 2 sons. So in other words, come out. It's either for me, maybe you're angry with me, I don't know. Maybe you sent your wife because you're angry with her, but you too kindlech. You have to come on. So what's his reaction right away? Vayetze Moshe lekratchotno. So Moshe came out to greet his father-in-law. V'yishtachu v'yishaklo. He bowed down and he kissed him. The question is, who kissed who? We don't know. So that's one of the questions. We don't know who bowed down to who. We don't know who kissed who. And the problem is because Moshe is a king. He's a king. It's not befitting for the king to bow down to anybody. That's why when Obama did it, everybody got upset. You're the president of the United States. You don't bow down. So whether or not he felt he should or shouldn't, I'm not getting into the argument because I couldn't really care less about it. But that's what the argument is here. Who's bowing down to who? Because Yitro is the Kohen Midyan. Maybe he's been deposed at this point, but he still has high office. Also, he's the father-in-law. I have to show deference to my father-in-law. Of course, Moshe is the king. So, who bowed down to? We don't know. V'yishalu ish el re'ehu, the shalom, and each man asked the other about, how's it going? V'yavo ahela, and they came to the tent. And so, v'yispa Moshe lechot. No. Moshe tells his father-in-law, all that Hashem did to Pharaoh Mitzrayim, Yisrael on the matter of Israel, all the stuff that happened, that was happening to them on the way. Hashem and Hashem saved them. I want to get to this last pasuk, so if we can hold on. Vayichad Yitro. This is a very important pasuk. Vayichad Yitro. Yitro was, what is that? Yichad. Chad means sharp. Sharp, like a knife, sharp. But Rashi says it means happy. Okay. Now what goes on? It says Vayismach Yitro. This is a simple explanation. The other one is when he heard what happened to Mitzrayim. He's a convert. It was like hitting him with prickly stuff. It was hurting him. That was his friend. Remember, he was in Pharaoh's inner court. He grew up with them. He was counseling them. So when he heard all the stuff that was happened to his former friends, it bothered him a little. Vayichad. It was like sticking a knife into him each time. And then, so that's one way to look at that. And it says from here, you learn that you're not allowed to say a negative word to a convert about something else. In other words, if their country was attacked or something, you're not allowed to afflict them like that. Even though they're going to put the face on, they're going to be happy about it. Oh yeah, good for the Jews. Yeah, Hashem showed them. No, it hurts them because it's still their family. They still have that connection. Until the 10th generation. I don't know who my 10th generation relatives are. But for the goy who converts, I should say the ger who converts, you're not allowed for 10 generations. No, it's not him. 10 generations later, you're not allowed to say anything. Okay? Because it can hurt them. So we care very much about not saying something negative to a person who converted. Left the wrong side to get to the right side of the tracks, we have to show them tremendous deference. So that's why it says, Vayichad Yitro, Al Kol HaTova, Asher saw Hashem Yisrael, that he was happy, or again, what you said, on all the good that Hashem did to Israel, Asher Silo, Miyad Mitzrayim, that he saved them from the hand of Israel. And we'll have to stop there.